loudly, doors slammed, voices raised, plates shattered against walls. But mine withered in silence. Slow, subtle, like a candle burning to the wick while you're too busy staring at the flame to notice it's shrinking. My name is Logan Pierce, 35, software analyst, pretty average guy who values the quiet kind of comfort. Morning coffee, late night movie marathons, inside jokes nobody else understands. For years, that was enough for Sienna and me. But recently, she moved through the house like she was somewhere else entirely. It started small. She used to grab whatever clothes were clean for work, hair in a loose knot, barely awake until her first sip of coffee. Then one Wednesday morning, she came downstairs dressed like she was walking into a photo shoot. Hair curled, lipstick on, perfume cloud following her like a signature. I blinked at her. Big meeting. She didn't even look up as she tied her shoes. Nope, just another day. Another day, except Sienna hated mornings. She'd never looked this awake at 7 a.m. Trying something new, she said, almost brushing off her own transformation. But changes don't happen without reasons. Not one's this big. I try to shrug it off. People evolve. Maybe she wanted a fresh start. Maybe she was taking her job more seriously. Maybe I was paranoid. But then came the shift that sealed everything. We hired a new team lead, she mentioned one night, scooping up her leftovers. Name's Brandon Ellis. Really sharp guy. Kind of funny too. Makes work less boring. I smiled politely, but her tone carried warmth. Too much warmth. The same warmth she used to save for me after a long day. Over the next few weeks, Brandon's name became a regular guest at our dinner table. Brandon messed up the presentation slides today. So embarrassing. Brandon said the wildest thing this morning. Made the whole office laugh. Brandon offered to drive me in today because my tire looked low. That one made me pause. He picked you up? I asked carefully. She nodded, casual as ever. Yeah, it's nothing. He lives 5 minutes from our route anyway. Saves me the trouble. Saves you. She gave an easy shrug. Relax, Logan. He's my co-worker, not some secret affair. That word, affair, dropped between us like an ice cube in boiling water. I hadn't accused her. I hadn't even hinted at anything. But she said it. Defense appears where guilt lives. Still, I stayed quiet. A man doesn't win anything by snapping without proof. And proof is never loud at first. It's buried in details. One morning, I walked downstairs and found Sienna standing at the mirror in our entryway, checking her reflection. She smoothed her hair, fixed her jacket, applied lip gloss she never wore to the office. I didn't know you had early meetings, I said lightly. She gave a quick little laugh, too light. Not a meeting. Brandon's swinging by a bit early today. We're avoiding traffic. We, not co-workers, not a department. A pair. My stomach tightened, but I swallowed it. I watched from the window as a navy blue SUV rolled up. Brandon stepped out wearing sunglasses, leaning against the car like he was posing for a commercial. Sienna walked toward him with a smile I hadn't seen in months. Bright, nervous, like she cared about making an impression. He opened the passenger door for her. She touched his arm as she laughed at something he said. That small touch felt bigger than a slap. I stood there in the living room, heart hammering in a slow, heavy rhythm. Not anger, worse. A stillness that comes when you finally admit to yourself that something is wrong. When she came home that evening, she was practically glowing. Oh my God, Brandon is ridiculous, she said, tossing her bag onto the couch. He tried to make a protein shake in the car, and the blender exploded. Funniest thing ever. Sounds like a real morning, I replied, forcing a smile. She didn't notice the strain in my voice. Instead, she sat on the arm of the couch, checking her phone, waiting for another message. Maybe. That night, I lay beside her while she typed under the covers, phone screen illuminating her face in soft blue light. She giggled quietly. She wasn't giggling at me. I stared up at the ceiling, listening to her breathe and type and hide. The next day, my suspicion turned into certainty. Her phone buzzed during breakfast. I wasn't snooping. She left it on the counter. Her notifications flashed sideways. A message preview from Brandon read, "This morning was worth waking up early for." The emoji wasn't even the real betrayal. The tone was warm, familiar, intimate. My heartbeat stuttered. I felt my fingertips go numb. But still, I didn't confront her. Not yet. Exploding would only let her twist reality, claim I was paranoid, emotional, dramatic. So instead, I stepped into my office, closed the door, and sat down. If her coworker was married, his wife deserved to know what was happening right under her nose. A quick search online pulled up a profile. Harper Ellis, early 30s, teacher, soft brown eyes, a gentle smile in every photo. She looked like the kind of woman who loved deeply. My hands trembled slightly as I opened her contact information through a publicly listed school website and typed a single line. "Hi Harper, I think we should talk. It's about our spouses." I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I hit send. Not out of rage, not out of pettiness, but because truth, when buried too long, starts to rot, and I wasn't going to let that rot spread any further into my life. Harper replied faster than I expected. I had barely stepped away from my laptop to pour myself coffee when my phone buzzed with a simple but gut-wrenching message. "What happened? Please tell me everything." Her words weren't angry or defensive. They were scared, and something about that broke me a little. I typed slowly, choosing every sentence with painful precision. I didn't want to exaggerate. I didn't want to accuse blindly. I just wanted honesty, something the people we loved weren't giving us. I told her about the early mornings, the new makeup, the secret laughs, the carpool, and the message I accidentally saw. I didn't add dramatic flourishes. I didn't say affair. I didn't jump to conclusions. All I wrote was, "I don't know what's happening, but something is wrong, and I thought you deserved to know." She didn't reply right away. Instead, 3 dots appeared, vanished, appeared again, vanished again. Finally, a longer message came through. "Logan, thank you. I've had a feeling about Brandon for months, but kept blaming myself. He's been coming home later. He guards his phone now. He doesn't want intimacy. Something changed. I thought maybe he was stressed." That line hit me like someone had punched the air out of my lungs. We were living parallel betrayals. 2 people fighting shadows while our spouses whispered in the dark. Then she sent a second message. "Can we talk on a call? Please." My hands trembled, not from fear, but from the weight of someone else finally saying it out loud. I called her. Her voice was soft, breaking around the edges like someone holding back tears. "Logan, I'm so sorry," she murmured. "You didn't deserve this. We didn't deserve this." Neither did she. We talked for almost an hour, trading puzzle pieces that slowly formed a picture neither of us wanted to see. Brandon suddenly working late. Sienna needing to decompress at a cafe after work. Hushed tones on phone calls. Deleted messages. How'd we both ignored so much? At one point, Harper sniffled softly. "I kept thinking it was me," she whispered. Like maybe I stopped being exciting or supportive or enough. My throat tightened painfully. I knew that feeling too well. "You're not the problem," I said gently. People who hide things cause damage long before we even know to protect ourselves. Silence hung between us. Heavy, shared, strangely comforting. Then she asked the question I had been avoiding. "Do you think they're actually doing something?" I closed my eyes. Images flashed. Sienna's glow when she mentioned him, the way she touched Brandon's arm, the soft laughter she tried to hide. "I think emotional cheating starts long before anything physical," I said quietly. "And whatever this is, it crossed a line." Her breath wavered. "Yeah, it did." Before we hung up, she asked, "What are you planning to do?" I stared at my reflection in the dark window. Tired eyes, tight jaw, a man trying to hold himself together. "I'm not sure," I admitted, "but I'm done being in the dark." Harper hesitated. "If you ever need anything, someone to talk to, I'm here. You're not alone." Those words meant more than she knew. That evening, Sienna came home later than usual. I was in the kitchen slicing vegetables, though the knife shook faintly with every cut. When she walked in, breezy and glowing like she'd stepped into a world that didn't include me, she dropped her bag on the chair. "Traffic was crazy," she said, kicking off her heels. I watched her carefully. "Did you drive alone?" She froze. Not for long, barely a breath, but I noticed. "Brandon and I split the drive today," she said, opening the fridge. "He dropped me off, then went home." "What?" "No reason," I said quietly. She studied me for a second. "Logan, don't start. Work is stressful, okay? I just want peace when I get home." Peace. That word felt like poison when spoken by someone who shattered it every morning at 7 a.m. She brushed past me, and our shoulders barely touched. A subtle distance that spoke louder than fights ever could. Later that night, while Sienna showered. Her smartwatch buzzed beside her purse. A message preview flashed silently across the screen. From Brandon. Same time tomorrow. I like today. I stood frozen, pulse pounding so loudly I could barely hear the shower running. Not carpool. Not meeting tomorrow. Not, let's coordinate. But I like today. My stomach twisted. When she stepped out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, her hair damp, smelling of eucalyptus shampoo, she noticed me looking shaken. Everything okay? She asked. I swallowed. Yeah, just tired. She smiled, leaned in to kiss my cheek, barely touching me, and walked past as if nothing inside me was breaking. That night, lying beside her while she scrolled her phone under the covers, giggling softly again at messages I wasn't allowed to see, I knew something with cold clarity. If she wasn't going to tell me the truth, I would bring the truth home to her, quietly, precisely, powerfully, and the person who would help me do it? Harper Ellis, the woman whose life was being torn apart just like mine. The next morning, I felt like I was walking through molasses. My limbs were heavy, my chest tight, my thoughts loud. Sienna brushed past me, humming while she packed her lunch, unaware or uncaring of the way the air between us had shifted. She sprayed on the same perfume she'd recently started wearing, the one that lingered in the hallway long after she left. She fixed her hair and checked her lipstick in a mirror by the door. When her phone buzzed, she angled the screen away from me on instinct. Brandon's here, she said casually, slipping into her shoes. I forced a calm expression. Have a good day. She gave a soft, distracted smile. You too, Logan. Then she walked out. Not once did she look back. I waited until her footsteps faded, then I opened my phone. Harper had sent me a message 20 minutes earlier. He left. If you want to meet, I'm free this morning. I hesitated only for a second. Then, yes. Where? She suggested a small cafe near her school. Quiet, tucked away, safe from curious eyes. I arrived first and chose a table in the corner where sunlight couldn't reveal the exhaustion on my face. When she walked in, Harper looked like she hadn't slept much either. Her hair was pulled into a loose ponytail, dark circles forming beneath her eyes. She gave me a small, grateful smile as she sat across from me. Thank you for coming, she said softly. Thank you for responding, I replied. Neither of us touched the menus. We weren't there for coffee. We were there for answers. Harper opened her purse and placed something on the table, Brandon's smartwatch. He left it charging. I looked through the notifications. She swallowed hard. Logan, he messages your wife a lot. More than I realized. She tilted the screen toward me. The preview messages alone were enough. Morning, sunshine. You looked amazing today. Can't wait for the ride tomorrow. Miss our long talks. My jaw clenched until it hurt. I scrolled further. Still only previews. She hadn't broken into private messages, but the pattern was there. Every timestamp matched moments Sienna claimed she was working late, stuck in meetings, or grabbing coffee with coworkers. Harper's voice trembled. I thought I was imagining things. I thought if I loved him enough, he'd come back to me. But now I feel like I've been begging for someone who already replaced me. Her eyes filled with tears, but she wiped them quickly, refusing to break in public. I spoke quietly. You didn't do anything wrong. She shook her head. Neither did you. We sat there in heavy silence, both of us staring at the evidence lying between us. Finally, Harper leaned in. Logan, what do you want to do? I'm not saying we jump to conclusions, but they're lying to us, and I don't want to keep pretending nothing's wrong. I took a deep breath. My mind raced through every moment, every laugh Sienna hid from me, every morning she rushed to get ready, every message preview she turned away from my eyes. I don't want revenge just to hurt her, I said slowly. I want the truth, and I want her to see what she's doing. Not in a fight, not in an accusation she can twist. I looked up at Harper. I want her to face the truth in a way she can't deny. Harper nodded slowly, understanding. A quiet confrontation, one they can't wiggle out of. Exactly, she sighed. Then there's something I need to ask. Her fingers curled around her coffee cup. If we do this, we have to do it carefully. No yelling, no scenes, no threats. We can't give them anything to hide behind. We just show them. I met her gaze. I agree. For the first time that morning, Harper's expression softened. I'm glad I'm not alone in this. We talked longer, comparing timelines, details, moments we'd both brushed aside. The puzzle was clearer now. Long drives, shared jokes, emotional intimacy our spouses denied us. Harper showed me a photo Brandon had taken at work, but the angle revealed he was in a car, likely with Sienna, judging by the pink travel mug she owned sitting in the cup holder. When we stood to leave, Harper hesitated by her car. "Logan, whatever happens next, you deserve better. Don't let them make you feel small." I nodded, though my chest felt like it was caving in. "You too." Driving home, I replayed everything, every detail, every sign. My hands gripped the steering wheel tightly as I parked and sat inside the silent car, staring at our house. I had lived here with Sienna for years. We built memories in every room. But now, I felt like a stranger in my own home. I walked inside, closed the door gently, and stood in the quiet space where mornings used to be filled with her laughter. Then something clicked with final clarity. I didn't need yelling. I didn't need threats. I didn't need chaos. I needed honesty, and I needed the truth to confront her without warning. Harper agreed to help. Together, we would let our spouses walk straight into the reality they had built. And the day Sienna came home laughing again, she would not be prepared for who would be sitting in our living room waiting for her. The plan wasn't complicated. It didn't need to be. Harper and I agreed that neither of us would raise our voice, accuse wildly, or say anything that could be spun back on us. People like Sienna and Brandon thrive when they can twist stories into knots. So we chose something they couldn't twist. The truth, delivered calmly, in the same room. All it required was timing. Sienna always came home around 6:15 on days she carpooled. Brandon usually dropped her off at the curb and drove away. Harper knew he got home around 6:30. We spent hours preparing, not rehearsing speeches, but preparing our hearts for what we were about to face. Two people who still love the ones hurting them. Two people who were about to let go of illusions they'd clung to for too long. The air felt tight that evening. Heavy. Still. At 5:50, Harper pulled into my driveway. She sat in her car for a moment before stepping out, breathing deeply as though gathering the last of her strength. When she walked up to the house, she offered me a small, nervous smile. "You ready?" she asked. "No. Yes. Maybe. Everything at once." But I nodded. "Let's sit." We settled on opposite ends of the couch. Not too close. This wasn't a united front of vengeance. This was two broken spouses trying to rebuild their dignity. At 6:13, headlights flashed across the wall. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. Harper straightened, clasping her hands so tightly her knuckles whitened. We heard car doors. A brief laugh from Sienna, bright, carefree, the kind she hadn't shared with me in months. The sound cut through me like a blade. The front door unlocked, swung open. She stepped inside mid-sentence, still smiling over her shoulder, until she turned and saw us. Her face froze almost comically. "Logan," she whispered. Her eyes darted to Harper, then to me, then back again. Confusion melted into fear, then into defensiveness. Why is she here? Harper didn't flinch. We needed to talk. Sienna blinked rapidly. Talk about what? "Logan, what's going on?" I stood slowly, keeping my voice level. I wanted honesty, the kind you haven't given me. She opened her mouth to argue, but her phone buzzed in her bag, loud in the quiet room. Harper's phone buzzed too. She lifted hers gently, showing the screen. "It's Brandon," she said. "He just texted both of us." Sienna swallowed. "Why would he text you?" Harper looked at me, then read aloud softly. "Made it home. Today was fun again. Same plan tomorrow." The words hung like smoke. Sienna's face drained of color. "Harper, that's not what it looks like." "So explain it," Harper said gently. Sienna turned to me. "Logan, you're blowing this out of proportion. We're just co-workers. We're just carpooling." I finished quietly. She flinched. Her lips parted as if searching for a believable excuse. None came. I picked up my phone from the coffee table and showed her the screenshot from her smartwatch notification history, the one she didn't know I'd seen. Her breath hitched. She stepped back. Logan, I didn't mean for anything to seem like an emotional affair." I asked, voice calm, steady, heartbreak tucked into every word. "Like someone you save your best laughs for, best energy for, best mornings for." Her eyes brimmed with tears. "I was stressed. I was lonely. You've been distant." I shook my head once. "No, I was present. You were somewhere else." Harper spoke softly then, her voice trembling with hurt. You didn't just betray your marriages. You betrayed the people who trusted you. Sienna covered her mouth, tears spilling. Logan, please, I can explain. I never wanted to hurt you. You already did, I said gently. All that's left now is honesty. For the first time in months, she didn't have a comeback. She just crumbled into silence, truth settling over her like cold rain. Harper stood. I'm going home. Brandon and I will have our own conversation. When she left, Sienna reached for me. Logan, please, can we fix this? I stepped back, not cruelly, not with anger, just finally choosing myself. We'll talk, I said, but not tonight. Not like this. I need space. And I need the truth. Fully. Not just what's convenient. She nodded brokenly. And for the first time in a long time, I walked away from her. Not because I stopped loving her, but because I finally remembered I deserved someone who respected me.